Tunde was what you might call a certified layabout. In the sun-drenched village of Ayagbami, where everyone had a trade or a task, Tunde's only talent was avoiding effort. While his mother pounded yam, his father tilled the soil, and his siblings fetched water, Tunde could be found lounging under the mango tree, dreaming of a life where food walked to your mouth and work did itself. "You this boy," his mother would shout daily. "Are you waiting for a job to knock on your forehead?" One fateful market day, with coins jingling in his palm, earned not by labor but from selling his cousin's old slippers without permission, Tunde set out to buy what he claimed was an investment. His parents thought he was finally ready to contribute. Instead, he returned with a goat. Not just any goat. This one had a lazy eye, one horn shorter than the other, and a peculiar grin that made everyone feel slightly judged. "What is this nonsense?" his father asked. "His name is Wura," Tunde replied proudly. "He's special. I can feel it." Wura the goat sniffed once, then belched so loudly it shook the cooking pot. That night, as Tunde dragged Wura to the backyard for the night, he muttered, "You better be magical or something, because if you don't lay golden eggs or spit out cash, I'm finished." And then, clear as daylight, the goat replied, "You think I wanted to be bought by a boy who sleeps more than a rock? I was trying to get someone useful to break this curse." Tunde jumped so high he landed in his mother's pepper bush. "You talk?" "Yes," Wura said, rolling his eyes. "And I complained it. You've got goat hair in your mouth, by the way." From that moment on, Tunde's life spiraled into chaos. Wura was not only a talking goat, but an extremely opinionated one. He critiqued Tunde's laziness, gave unsolicited advice to villagers, and once got them banned from the Yam Festival for heckling the chief's drum solo. But Wura had a secret. He was once a prince. Prince Adebayo, heir to the prosperous kingdom of Ikunla, known across the region not only for his wealth but for his oversized pride. One evening during a royal hunt, he mocked an old woman for daring to walk in the path of his entourage. "Out of my way, old broomstick," he had sneered. That old woman turned out to be a powerful forest witch. She raised one hand and, with words in a language older than time, cursed him, "Until you learn humility and earn it through selfless deeds, you shall live as the animal you treat others like." In a flash, Prince Adebayo vanished, replaced by a goat with a sharp tongue and an even sharper memory. Back in Ikunla, the palace had been in mourning. The king and queen searched far and wide. Every town crier across every neighboring village shouted the news. Reward for anyone who finds the missing prince. Gold, land, and honor await. But who would ever guess the prince was a stinky goat with an attitude? And so the prince remained lost, until he met Tunde. The only way to break the curse, the witch had said, was through 3 selfless acts led by someone truly foolish, yet redeemable. "Guess who fits that description?" Wura muttered. "I'm not foolish," Tunde protested. Wura gave him a long look. "You named me Wura. That means gold, and I smell like boiled socks." And so the duo began their reluctant quest. The first act took them to a neighboring village, where a widow's farm had been destroyed by termites. Tunde was expected to help rebuild the fences, chase monkeys off the crops, and carry buckets of water. He groaned through every minute of it. But by the 3rd day, he found himself smiling, actually enjoying the work. Wura smirked. "One down. Miracles do happen." The second task involved rescuing a sacred drum stolen by thieves and hidden in a cave of bats. Tunde screamed more than he climbed, tripped on a bat, and somehow rolled into the drum, dislodging it with his head. Wura declared it heroic, if accidental. The third task was the hardest. A powerful rainstorm had flooded part of Ayagbami, and the villagers were stranded. Tunde, without thinking, ran into the rising waters to save a crying child caught in the current. He slipped, got swept downstream, and was eventually dragged out by Wura, who had, miraculously, learned to paddle using a calabash. That night, as Tunde sat coughing by the fire, Wura shimmered with golden light. His goat body stretched and twisted until standing before Tunde was a tall young man with princely robes and a smirk still intact. "Thank you," he said, bowing. "You're not as hopeless as you look." Tunde blinked. "So, you're human again? No more goat mouth." "Afraid so." "Then who's going to keep me company? Who's going to call me lazy every day?" Wura laughed. "You'll be fine. Just don't go buying any more animals from strange merchants." By morning, Ayagbami was filled with royal drums. Messengers from Ikunla had followed whispers of a strange goat and a village boy. When they saw the transformed prince, they wept with joy. Soon, the king and queen themselves arrived in a gilded carriage. The queen embraced her son. The king grabbed Tunde and lifted him like a sack of yams. "This boy saved our son. Name your reward." "I just want to go home and sleep," Tunde replied honestly. But he was gifted a bag of gold, a title, protector of the lost prince, and a fresh pair of slippers for the one he'd sold to buy the goat. At the prince's wedding weeks later, held under the great palace baobab, Tunde sat at the front, eating jollof rice and teasing the new bride. "You better be patient." He once chewed bark and blamed it on being hungry for adventure. Back in Ayagbami, the mango tree under which Tunde always napped bore its first fruits in years, bright gold-skinned mangoes that never fell but only dropped when someone worked for them. Tunde became Ayagbami's most unexpected hero. He helped rebuild the village, taught children how to make goat hair rope, a joke, surely, and still talked to animals, though none ever replied. But sometimes, when the wind rustled just right and the mango tree shimmered gold in the sunlight, he swore he could still hear a voice say, "Try lifting that bucket without groaning this time." And Tunde would smile, shake his head, and get back to work.